Hello everybody and welcome to Lesson 2, Introduction to Language and Literacy Teaching and Learning. Excited to start this 371 journey with you. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Let's just go to the next slide here. I have paired you up with a reading buddy. So this will be your reading buddy for the entire semester. And what you will, how you will interact with your reading buddy is when I give you a question that I say you're going to discuss this with your reading buddy. This is who you're going to discuss it with. So I'll throw questions in throughout this lecture that I'll say, okay, on Thursday we're going to talk about this particular question, and be ready to talk about it with your reading buddy. Also, this is your person who you are going to talk about your readings with. So I'll just throw out some questions about your readings. So make sure that you're actually doing the readings, because you don't want to be the lame partner who never does the readings and who just basically listens to the other person. So these are your buddies for the terms. So let's jump right in. So these are going to be the questions from the Lesson 2 readings that I'm going to ask you to discuss with your reading buddy on Thursday during our synchronous time. So why is literacy important in every community? And what are our future students facing in the world, either while in school or when they graduate? So be ready to discuss that. On Thursday, we will also go through any questions about practicum, but specifically I'm going to ask you these questions. How many lessons? Is there an evaluation form? What document? What do you do with the timesheet? What do you do if you want to take pictures of artifacts? So be ready to answer those particular questions and go through that practicum information, all of those videos that I sent out to you. Be ready to jump in and know what's in those videos. So make sure that you've watched those before Thursday's class. So make sure you've watched the assignment videos and the practicum information videos before Thursday. Okay, so what we're going to do is at the beginning of every class for 371, I'm going to either give you a link to a book for you to listen to, a children's book for you to listen to, or else I will read a children's book to you. This will just give us a chance to actually listen to some amazing children's literature. And I would suggest that you note down which books we're doing and put those on your e-portfolio under assignment 3. So just keep tabs of what books we are listening to. So what I want you to do is I want you to stop right now and listen to this children's book entitled Wings, because we are going to do something with this. I'm going to continue on with my video, but just stop the video and listen to this book. Okay, hope you enjoyed that book. It's a pretty amazing book. Okay, here we go. We're going to jump into Introduction to Language Development. So basically, I want to kind of start with the idea. If you see me looking to the side here, I have 2 screens going. It's kind of wild for me to have several screens, but here we go. Welcome to the world of technology. And the miracle of language. It's kind of miraculous that I can actually speak these random sounds, and you can actually listen as the listener to these sounds, and we can actually communicate so that you understand, you comprehend what is happening here. And then even more bizarre is you can actually figure out what this weird scrawl and pictures are in language. So the miracle of language is truly a miracle, that we can communicate both in a spoken way and in a written way. And some would say, and this is a hot debate, some would say that language defines us as human, that we are the only being that communicates through language, through a specific language. And so the whole concept that we can actually do this, we can actually communicate through speech and through text is really kind of a miracle. Okay, let's have a look at what is literacy. Since this is a class based on literacy, what has literacy been in the past? Basically, we've kind of thought about literacy as speaking, listening, writing, and reading. It was focused on English language and the dominant culture. Basically, if you are literate, you are more educated, and ultimately, your economic success was not dependent on your literacy skills. So you could actually have a pretty decent job in the past, 75, 50 years ago, without being literate. However, we're going to get to it. What has literacy teaching been in the past? So basically, if you were teaching literacy 50, 75, 100 years ago, your dominant focus would be on reading. It would so that would be the thing that you would focus on. It would be focused on sound symbol relationship, or things like phonics or basal readers. If any of you ever read the Dick and Jane series, that's a basal reader where it's basically just you're practicing the sounds. It would be an inflexible step-by-step approach. So you, as the teacher, would teach everything step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 to every single student. The meaning of the text would come after you had figured out how to decode. So after you had figured out the sounds of the language and the letters of the language, then you would talk about what does it actually mean. Basically, the children's interest was irrelevant. You just read the Dick and Jane book, no matter if you liked it or not. There was the attitude that children could learn little on their own, that it was really up to the teacher to be doing all of this. And there was an idea around that children's mother tongue was not recognized. This happened especially in residential schools where Indigenous people were punished when they used their mother tongue, and there was really little recognition that having that mother tongue actually was really beneficial for them for potentially learning a new language. So I'm going to just read you a little bit of a story. This is about children's mother tongue not being recognized, and this is a First Nations child's view when they were in a residential school. So once when we were in the playroom, I was playing on the floor with several friends, reliving a picture show we'd seen at the movie night, and using small objects like stones and pieces of wood to act as the cowboys. I was startled when Sister S, the supervisor that day, almost knocked me on my back as she wrapped her powerful, bony arm around me. I'd inadvertently said something in Ojibwe. She'd assumed I was referring to her when a couple of the boys laughed at my comment. She yelled that she'd wash out my mouth with soap, but instead dragged me to where she'd been sitting. I was shoved into a closet behind her chair. It was under the stairs leading to the second floor, and it used to be the store to store brooms and other cleaning materials. I don't remember how long I was there, but it seemed like an eternity. I was desperate. I stretched my legs, which rattled a pail in the closet, and then upset Sister S. She hissed at me to be quiet. I sobbed for a while, but to no avail. Eventually, she let me out. Her first word was "Tiens," or "take that," followed by a warning not to speak my savage language. So that's a little bit of the past of how we taught literacy in the past. So let's now have a look at what is literacy in the 21st century. Okay, so now with the computer age, with technology, we are now thinking about literacy as speaking, listening, writing, reading, representing, and viewing, because we have so many visuals now that we depend on for comprehension and for understanding what we're reading. There are also different types of literacy. There's social literacy, how we navigate through society and understand cultural norms. That's social literacy. Critical literacy, we're going to jump into critical literacy at the end of this lecture because it's crucial to 21st century literacy. We have mathematical literacy, right? We need to be able to converse and have those mathematical concepts at our fingertips at all time. There's cultural literacy. Again, understanding the nuance and traditions, sort of that unwritten code of that governs how we communicate within our particular society. And this is nothing new, technological or new literacy. It's not new to us, right? This whole concept that we have to be able to navigate the digital world. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of what now is literacy in the 21st century. UNESCO in 2004 wrote this particular definition. Literacy is the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, compute, and use printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. So very broad, not limited to just reading and writing in the English language, but suddenly it's a huge concept. Okay, this was one of your readings for this week. So have a listen to this particular video because it'll give you a sense of who are our literacy students in the 21st century and what are the needs of our students and education system today. So I will leave that with you to watch. It's on your reading list. So have a look at that and we'll discuss that on Thursday. Okay. So who are literacy students in the 21st century? These are some terms that you will need to know as a future literacy teacher. So basically, we have the concept of culturally and linguistically diverse, or CLD. You'll sometimes see that acronym, learners. These are learners who are learning in a language that is not their first language. These learners bring language acquirement skills and cultural awareness to learning a new language. So unlike in the past, when we didn't recognize that mother tongue, that knowing that mother tongue gave the child great capacity to learn a different language, we now are recognizing that. And this is that concept. Need to acknowledge the students' funds of knowledge. They come to us with funds. They have lots of knowledge about language, about how language works, about its purpose. They just, in our case, don't have the English language. So and oftentimes, I want to go back to this. Oftentimes we think that English is their second language. Oftentimes English is their third or fourth language. That's why we have switched from a different acronym to culturally and linguistically diverse. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is I'm going to stop my recording and I want you to watch this particular video, at least up to 1:24. You're welcome to watch the whole thing, but I want you to watch for how these CLD learners were treated in school. These are now teachers who are CLD learners going through the system. So have a listen to that. I'm going to come back with part 2 about our introduction to language development.